What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, stop, talk to the hand. Because we're going to be playing a team that I found that was really strong, featuring Thunder Fang Steelix. This thing is an incredibly strong sweeper. So, yes, obviously we're here for the Thunder Fang Steelix, but what are we playing with the Steelix? Well, what I first thought of was I was going to play this with some sort of a fighting lead because Steelix and fighters tend to core very well together. And then when I was thinking about what Steelix really struggles against, I wanted to make it a grass type, so I originally chose Chestnut. Now, you're going to see in this first battle, we try the Chestnut, and I changed my mind, and what I end up doing is instead is I pivot to Primeape. Primeape gave me the opportunity to have some really heavy-hitting, fast-move pressure, as well as being able to spam out Rage Fist. It just gave me that ability to chip and dip and do things that were very quick, get Primeape in and out when it needs to be. And I would say, right off the top, if you have an Annihilate that you can run, it would probably be better than the Primeape, to be honest. I found that I had a very big struggle against Primeape because I really don't have an answer to it, because I have double Legacy Dugong in the back as my safe switch, and Dugong is one of those Pokemon that I've always been just tried and true. I use it all the time. If you haven't built one yet and you have a good one waiting for it, it is worth the Elite TMs. Definitely worth the build. Also, so is Primeape, to be honest. But let's get into these games here as we see how Thunder Fang Steelix is doing in this current Great League meta. Spoiler alert, it's really good. So as we mentioned in the first game here, we're going to have Chestnut in our lead as the first in the first game. We have a really nice lead here in the for Alligator. So the opponent, however, is going to safe switch into Primeape, and you might be seeing it already. I'm not going to win this matchup, even though I get a slight energy lead, and I have Chestnut. I am not going to be able to outpace this thing to these Rage Fists, and it's going to cost me dearly. Now I'm thinking I have Steelix. It has Thunder Fang. I can live a Hydro Cannon if I need to. I just need to get rid of this Primeape, because this thing, I have nothing that I can really bring in here. I'm going to just dump both shields into my Chestnut. This thing is already buffed up at least 3 times now. I'm going to go for the Thunder Punch, hoping that they don't go ahead and shield it, but they do. And I'm like, I have no way to win this game. So, after getting dumpstered by a Primeape in the first game, I changed to the Primeape lead in this next game, and now we're going to get to see how this does. So I'm going to go for the close combat right away on 5. Opponent did not CMP tie, so they're either going to shield or I'm going to get rid of this thing. And Superior is actually quite a bit of an issue for this team if they shield that, because Thunder Fang Steelix, Thunder Fang is resisted by the grass typing. So it's very difficult for me to be able to do much with that, and the opponent has a Dunsparce in the back, as most Superior probably will. Dugong, however, is going to be able to get some debuffs, and this could provide a nice farm down opportunity for Primeape, so I might be able to make something happen. Also, because the opponent did not shield that close combat, they're very low, and that might provide us an opportunity to be able to use Steelix to Thunder Fang down later in the game if needed. Rock Slide won't knock out the opponent either undercharged, or the debuff just happened to let me hang on with just a little bit of HP. And I'm pivoting right away into my Primeape here because I know that the opponent's Superior is low. And if the opponent wasn't eager to switch out of that matchup because they had the Superior in the lead, I was half expecting them to have something in the back that was also weak to it. So I'm like, you know what? Primeape's also super safe with fighting and ghost coverage. This thing is almost completely unwallable. If not, it is actually completely unwallable. Everything here will do damage. So Primeape's still a good pivot. The opponent has their Drapion. I'm going to come in with my Steelix and start to get some of this damage off. Thunder Fangs here are going to add up very quickly. And I will say as well, if I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video, Shadow Steelix is a must. It just simply does not, the normal simply does not cut it on this team for me. The opponent going for their Aqua Tail right as I was expecting them to go for it. I'm going to swap, catch that on the Dugong, and shield up the next Aqua Tail, and I think I can just fully farm this thing down. I'm honestly holding on to this energy until they swap, because they bring in the Dunsparce, and a Drill Run would be lethal from this range, so I have to get rid of this Dunsparce. It might not be lethal, but I wasn't willing to find out. I'm going to go up to the double Psychic Fangs. The opponent's Drapion had thrown and is not going to be able to get to another charge move before they go down. So I just go to the double Psychic Fangs with Steelix. And against all odds with a really uncomfortable lead and counter swap into our Dugong, we're going to be able to take this game because just the power of Thunder Fang Steelix is just so good in this meta right now. Next game up, we got Primeape on the lead versus Dugong. You'll love to see it. The opponent probably swaps out here, and I have a really strong response in my own Steelix as well. So I'm going to go for the close combat because we're going to get there before the opponent gets to a move, and they're going to decide whether they want to shield here. and they don't. And Steelix comes in and chomps down on the Feraligatrs, and the opponent just concedes. I don't blame him. I would too. It's unfortunately you just can't afford to make that kind of call early game, because that'll just take the entire rest of the game and flip it on its head. Now, opponent has a Cresselia in the lead. Nasty core breaker. I don't see a whole lot of Cresselias, so honestly, I'm okay losing to Cresselia here. But the opponent comes in with a Diggersby. Yeah, this sucks. This really just genuinely sucks. My only answer to the Cresselia was my Steelix. The only possible chance that I'm going to have here is if my Primate can get a ton of Rage Fist energy into the Cresselia, and Dugong just maybe happens to be able to outbulk and overpower whatever might be in the back. But Cresselia is definitely a problem with this team. I would not expect it to be something that's very common. I'm going to swap into my Dugong here and try and see what I can do. Opponent's going to be able to get to probably a Scorching Sands. Very uncomfortable. If I take the debuff, it sucks. And of course, debuff. I think I remember this game. I'm pretty sure that every single Scorching Sands I took in this game was a debuff. I'm like 95% sure that all of them were. I wasn't paying complete attention just now before that against the Steelix, but I'm pretty sure I had at least 1 or 2 games where it's like every single one of those was a debuff. And the opponent is double weak in the back to Primate. So if I can just get my Primate in here to get some energy, I might be okay. Now, my opponent's going to throw. I was going to try to see if I get to another move, and I think I could have, possibly, but opponent does throw. This is an opportunity for Primate to try and sweep with 2 shields. Opponent has a move. It is double debuffed. I'm going to let it go here. I have to save shields to deal with the opponent's Cresselia, but they come straight back in with their stupid bunny, man. That damn bunny. They're keeping the Cresselia in the back because they know that it will beat me easily, and they just need to try and get as much energy as they can. I'm not going to be able to get to a move on Steelix, so that is really bad. I'm going to go for the Rage Fist here and hope to get a shield from the opponent, and if I can, I might have a chance. Opponent does actually end up shielding that, and we're going to get the attack rise here. Rosen, if anybody remembers that old jingle. Probably a regional. I probably just doxed my childhood, but anyway, I know that I'm not going to be able to beat this opponent, and I'm just going to top left for them. Good game. Try your best, but sometimes the opponent just has what they need to succeed, and in the next game, we have what we need to succeed, as the opponent is going to go into their Drapion with a Guzzlord in the front. Now, Primate is going to do fine here. I'm not worried about Primate in the least, but the problem here is that because they're able to get to that Aqua Tail so quickly, the opponent's going to be able to outpace me and force a shield off me early, and then they call the bait of the Rage Fist. This is why you just send the close combat. Like, genuinely, don't bait. Just throw close combat, because you will usually be able to come out of things in a good light here. But because of the fact that they didn't shield any of those Rage Fists, I can get a full farm down and force the opponent to bring in their third Pokemon. And because I have some pretty decent bulk on my team here, I can pretty reliably go for both shields into Primate in most cases, as long as I have a pretty decent idea of what's going on in the back. Now, I'm just gonna go for alignment here. I want to put Steelix on the Toxapex, and I want to put Dugong on the Guzzlord. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay in instead of swapping out to let my opponent try and counter switch their Guzzlord in. I have everything on the opponent's team right where I need it to be, and so I'm just going to go ahead and let Steelix start ripping this thing apart, and I'm going to go for a breaking swipe into the Guzzlord once it counter swaps back in, and then Dugong easily going to be able to come in, especially with the opponent getting an attack drop. All shields are down. I'm farming all the way down. The opponent has no energy here that is that threatens my Dugong. They can go for Sludge Bomb, they can go for Brutal Swing, Crunch, any of it. I'm going to fully farm down, have 2 drill runs ready to go for the Toxapex, and quite honestly, I can just go for these moves and take this thing out. Pretty sure 2 drill runs from this range will be enough, and even though we had a really nasty start to this set, we are going to be able to take a 3-in-1 victory lap around this set now that we've switched off that Chestnut, man. I wanted it to work, but unfortunately it just didn't. Good game to the opponents here. First set's going to be a 3-2. Decent, but we're going to get into the next one here. Opponent playing some spice. Do believe this was a previous legend, or is a legend right now, and now my opponent comes in with something that is truly awkward for this team to deal with in the back, and that's going to be Talonflame. I don't have to shield this, but if I do, I'm going to be able to finish taking this Talonflame down, because one of the little known facts here about Shadow Steelix here with Thunder Fang is that it can go through a Talonflame in with shields up. It's just it's just one of those things that, because of Thunder Fang, it now allows Steelix to do that, and it's quite disgusting if I'm being completely honest here. Now, the opponent does have shield advantage here, but I'm going to be able to get quite a lot of damage in here with my Steelix, as they are going to probably try to bullet seed me down. I don't really think it's a good idea for them to try and throw here, because they're going to need that energy to be able to do something to my Primeape here, but I'm still just going to go for as much energy as I can here, and I'm just looking to keep my Dugong away from the Cresselia here, really just for the most of the fact is that I don't want to take Rock Slides and Grass Knots on Dugong if I don't have to. So I'm going to get this thing as low as I can. In comes Dugong. The opponent has a Mandibuzz, and I'm pretty sure that I win this game here. I'm going to go for the close combat to chip this thing and then come in with Dugong, and honestly, even though Dugong takes super effective damage from these moves, I'm going to go ahead and build up to a Rage Fist here because I know that they have energy on the Cresselia. And then I'm going to swap out. And what that'll allow me to do is, even if the opponent's Cresselia takes out my Dugong at any point, if they have a move stored, I have my Primeape ready to come in with a Rage Fist later in the game. So that was why I stayed in, to get that energy. Now the opponent is going to stay. Obviously their switch timer is not quite up yet, as it will probably be soon. And they're going to come now into the Cresselia, and we're fine here. We just need one more move to get to a close combat if we need it. Grass Knot will be able to KO as the opponent is off of their debuff, but because they had 2 moves stored, they were at max energy. Remember, they fully bullet seeded down. We're going to get the Rage Fist off, and now we just need to be able to get to the close combat, which we can, thanks to Primeape's lightning fast pacing and the fact that Air Slash Mandibuzz is just a little bit too slow. We're going to hit the button here just because we can. Good game to the opponent. Getting into the next game, we got another invisible opponent, and it's a Shadow Steelix on the lead, most likely running Thunder Fang, so I'm happy to see this here, but I have to be very, very careful. Now, my opponent safe switches in a Annihilate, and I am not really sure how to deal with this, I'm going to be honest. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chip it with a Rage Fist, and I'm going to get into my Steelix, because those Thunder Fangs add up very quickly, you can see. And because of the opponent's poor pacing here, we are just, man, all of this game. I was expecting a safe switch Annihilate to have Rage Fist. Now, because of the increased damage from Thunder Fang, we would have been able to go through that matchup if we had shielded. I wish I had. Opponent's going to go ahead and shield this up here, and I'm in a really bad spot. I need to get rid of this Annihilate. I should have shielded the close combat. Most Annihilates will probably have close combat, so that was kind of a foolish bid by my part. Not, just to assume that they wouldn't have it, but the opponent does have a Superior in the back, and I just need to see if I can leverage my Dugong, especially now that the opponent has decided to let that move through, and they just did it to absorb energy. They can come in with the Steelix, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get to enough damage here. The opponent, very healthy, not really looking good for me here, so I'm already expecting this to be a loss, but I'm just going to see if I can get to another move here. Going for the drill run. They do let that through, but I'm not going to be able to get to a move, and I'm just going to concede here. Good game to the opponent. I think I would have had a much better time if I had shielded that close combat, but hindsight is 20/20, right? So Primeape in the lead here against the Drapion. We're going to stay in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch the Aqua Tail on my Dugong. And most opponents, if they stay in with the Drapion, they're probably going to throw the Aqua Tail because they know they can get there before you get to a close combat. And then we're going to be able to start building up energy on our Dugong, and I have the option to switch to shield if I need to, but honestly, the opponent comes in with their Dugong, and I'm just going to start unleashing this energy here. They did build up to another move on their Drapion, so I do have to be mindful of that later on, because my Steelix does not appreciate those super effective Aqua Tails quite so much. But as long as we can try to maintain some energy, Steelix does very well in the Drapion matchup because it triple resists those poison stings. If I believe, yeah, because poison double resist it. So we are going to be able to get this drill run off. The opponent can't really farm us down, so they're going to have to throw some energy at some point to try and take us out. I was thinking about trying to go for a Karate Chop snipe down, but instead I'm just going to go for the Rage Fist and try to eliminate this Dugong and all its energy. But the opponent decides to shield just so they can get a move off. They did have quite a bit of energy, and I'm just going to let this go at this point. I'm going to go ahead and see what the opponent likes to do here, and they'll bring in an Azumarill. So now my win condition seems to me that now that I see their whole team, I need to give Shadow Steelix both of my shields and allow it to sweep. Now, we're going to go for the close combat here. Even though it's resisted, it will do more than just a Rage Fist will, because it's not doesn't have the same type of attack bonus. Close combat's going to do a lot of damage to the Azumarill. Opponent not willing to shield. They're probably going to save it for the Drapion, honestly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to come in with my Dugong just to be able to absorb some energy here. and force it off of the opponent. I'm not worried about any debuffs from the other Dugong because we were able to force the energy off of them. And at this point, all they're really going to be able to use their Dugong for is a catch. Now, my opponent is able to get to a move at the last second here, but I'm saving all of my shields to deal with the Drapion because I know that a Aqua Tail will do more damage than a Ice Beam would. Aqua Tail is going to get my first shield, and I'm going to start going for breaking swipes here because I want to be able to get rid of this thing. And the opponent did just switch out, so they will be switch locked here. I probably could have realistically gone for a Psychic Fangs here, but I just wanted to get the damage in because damage and debuff, that was really what I was going for here. Now I'm going to go for this breaking swipe. We did charge attack priority tie, but nothing on the opponent's team has the energy left to be able to get to any charge moves, so Steelix is going to be able to Thunder Fang down the opponent's team, and that's going to be a good game here. Well played. And that previous team is a very common one I've seen in quite a lot of battles here. The Drapion lead with the Azumarill and a... goodness, my brain just... Dude, it's like 10:30. I'm doing this after a stream. It's bad. So, same thing we saw last time. The Annihilate here in the lead, but I learned my lesson from last time. I'm going to shield this in case they have close combat. Even if they have Rage Fist, it's fine, but they do go for the close combat, and then they're going to come in with a Drapion. So, thankfully, the lesson learned here... I just respect close combat every time, pretty much. We're just going to go for breaking swipe. I'm really hoping I get a debuff, but whenever I need them, I don't get them. It's just the law of the land and how everything works. It's just the laws of probability in my device. Anyway, opponent's going to have 2 Aqua Tails. I'm going to shield up the second one. I did give up all my shields here, but at this point, I need to be able to get rid of this Annihilate, and I'm hopeful that by catching this and storing the energy on Steelix, that I might have a chance to do so later. The opponent comes in with their Annihilate, and they're looking to go for a charge move here. They go for 7 counters, but they get farmed down before they can get to a move, which would have been the close combat. So I get very lucky. They could have gone for a chip, go for some chip there on the with a Rage Fist, but I'm quite thankful that they didn't. Would have been very, very not great for me. But the opponent is going to come in with now with an Azumarill, and once again, Azumarill's on so many teams, and that's part of why Thunder Fang Steelix has been so good, because there's a lot of Dugongs, there's a lot of Drapions, there's a lot of Azumarills, there's just a lot of things that really can do well here. And I also created this team with the intention that it would be something that would be able to deal really well with Corviknight, which I did see some after I recorded these battles. I did play some more games afterwards, and I did see some Corviknights, and we just completely demolished them. So if you're looking for a team that destroys Corviknight, boy, have I got a team for you. Now, we're going to be able to get to a Psychic Fangs here just at the very last second before that final bubble goes through. And this Psychic Fangs is either going to take out the opponent's Azumarill or force the shield. So now I can try to come in with my Primate, but it's a 50-50 shot. The opponent could be mashing it. They could be waiting to see what I come in with. The Play Rough is going to knock out my poor Primate, but Dugong's nearly at a move, and we're able to get there just before the opponent's going to take us out. So Dugong clutching it up in this next game here. Going to be able to get the Drill Run knockout and take the win for us here. Well played to the opponent. Next game up, we got Primeape against Feraligatr. So in this lead, what I like to do here is I just go straight for close combat. I'm going to throw right away, and I'm going to force the opponent to decide, are they going to shield or are they going to try and call Rage Fist? For me, it's never worth it to throw the Rage Fist here. I just go close combat, and that's why. Boom! And the opponent immediately switches now into a Clodsire. They do have a move ready and loaded on the Feraligatr, so I do have to be careful and watch out for that. I am glad, though, that I did have the opportunity to get this Clodsire locked on my Dugong, because if it was locked onto my Steelix, this would have been a completely different game, and I would have been having a very bad time. So, excuse me. We are going to be able to get an Icy Wind off here. The opponent not going to shield this. They're just going to let it go down, and in the back, they have a Primeape. Again, this is not something that this team is really ready to deal with, but I'm hoping that I can get to another move here. Going for it, but the opponent is very unlucky in this case. Normally, they should get the Karate Chop down here, but the game not working as intended, or at least as far as I understand it, ends up going to... They basically end up being able to get to... it's not one turn lag, but it's basically damage registration error, in which instead of a fast move taking priority, the charge move takes priority instead, which when it's not supposed to. So I technically shouldn't have gotten that Icy Wind in, but that's fine because honestly, the damage that we're coming through with these Psychic Fangs, it didn't really matter if they had a shield or not, because they're going to shield us and we're just going to farm all the way down here. Even if they had another shield, they wouldn't have been able to survive these moves. So good game to this opponent. Steelix, again, taking out fighters and other things that it normally wouldn't be able to do, because of just the Psychic Fang, or the Psychic Fangs Thunder Fangs combination is just so silly. We pick up a 4-1 in that set. This team was pretty strong, right above the 2600s, you know, in the 2600s. So really recommend giving it a shot if you're looking for something a little bit less meta and maybe a little bit more anti-meta. I would definitely peg this team as an anti-meta sort of team. With Primate, you could easily switch it out for Annihilate, but Steelix has to be Shadow. And Dugong, if you don't want to use a Dugong, you don't have to, but it definitely felt like the right thing to use for me. But that's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you oh so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.